Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So if I look exactly the same as I did in my last video, it's because I just made that video a couple hours ago. And in that video, I said that one of these days I'm gonna make a video explaining how I started my business as a home and traveling hairdresser. And I was just sitting here thinking, what am I waiting for? Let me just get back in front of the camera and make that video now. So here it goes. So I just spent the last 30 minutes or so writing out my timeline. So hopefully I have everything in here that needs to be in here, and I'm gonna try and explain this as fast as I can and not go into too much detail like I'm usually guilty of doing. So this is kind of gonna be like a story time. So this is how I started being a home-based / traveling hairdresser and hair braider. So it all started all the way back in 2013. So in July of 2013, I had just graduated cosmetology school, and that's when I was 20 years old. And when I was in that school, I don't know what went wrong, but for some reason they were taking forever to send me whatever paperwork I needed to schedule my state board test so I could officially get my license. So I couldn't work right away, even though I was really excited to just go ahead and start working. So at the time I had a retail job, which it was part-time, even though I worked there all the time. It's like I had full-time hours but part-time position, you know what I mean? You know how some retail jobs are. So anyway, so yeah, so I was working there, and then I had also kind of sort of started working at a salon just because I knew the owner personally and she had wanted me to work for her. And when you get out of school, even though you're not officially licensed, you get a temporary license that's good for a few months so that you can still technically start working right out of school, but it's very limited what you're allowed to do with a temporary license, and also everything that you do has to be right next to a licensed person. So I was working at the salon, but I was only there like 1 or 2 days a week because it wasn't very busy, and I just felt like I wasn't gonna get any experience working there. And to be completely honest, I never wanted to work there, but I was kind of guilt tripped into working there. So because I was still working at my retail job, I was still mostly working there until things picked up at the shop. So anyways, when I got out of school, I was not able to take my state board test until it was December when I finally got the phone call that I can finally apply for my state boards. And because it had been so long that I had been out of school, I decided to wait until January so that I had a month to, you know, like refresh everything in my head. So anyway, so yeah, so from July to January, I was out of school, but I was not officially a licensed hairstylist yet. But I was so excited to start working, and the friends that I had at the retail job I had were also excited for me, and they had wanted me to do their hair. So I remember one girl in particular, she had asked me if I would color her mom's hair, and this was technically my first ever out of school client. So she was like, well, if you want, you can just do her hair at your house. Looking back, I don't remember why I didn't just suggest that she came to the salon I worked at. I really don't know, but I feel like it's because I never wanted to work there, so I guess I wasn't trying to build a clientele there. I'm not really sure where my mind was at back then, but anyway, the plan was that she'll come to my house and do her and get her hair done. And I was like, okay, as long as you don't mind, you know, standing over a sink, you know, my kitchen sink, and I'll just like hose your hair down and everything. And she was like, no, it's okay, we know how it is, we'll just do that. So I remember I went to Sally's and I bought the color. I think I bought the color, she didn't bring the color. Yes, I went to Sally's and I bought the color and the developer, and that was all I had to buy because I had a kit from school, so I still had like the brush and bowl and a cape, so I had whatever else I needed. So she came to my house and I did her mom's hair. I think it was just her roots, and it was really short. It was a very short and easy service, and you know, I just washed her over the sink, and that was it. And that little service just made me feel so excited to like be like an official hairstylist. I was like, okay, I'm actually in this now, I'm in the world, I'm a hairstylist, whatever. So yes, I got really excited about that, and I'm guessing that, I guess she spread the word to everyone else that I did her hair. I don't think that I did. I really don't remember. It was a very long time ago. But anyway, I remember this other girl who had worked there. She had been wanting to get highlights. So she was like, okay, can you do highlights on me? Because you did, you know, her hair or whatever. So I was like, yeah, sure. So again, I went to Sally's and I bought the color that I needed. And I did the highlights. Oh, okay. So before this happened, so after I had done that first client, I was like, okay, I'm an official hairstylist. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this a thing, because the thing is, at that point I didn't know when my paperwork was going to be finished because I don't know, the school I went to, they were just so slow with everything. So I didn't know how long it's going to take for me to get my license. So therefore, oh yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place. So the reason I couldn't bring her to the shop was because I didn't have a license. So even though I had a temporary license, if I had brought her, I wouldn't have been able to color her hair. I would have just been able to like stand there and wash out her hair afterwards. So that's why they came to my house. I remember now. Duh. So same thing, I still wasn't licensed and my other friend wanted highlights, so again I told her to come to the house. So at that point I remember I was like, okay, I want to make this a little bit more official. So I went on eBay and I searched for a portable shampoo bowl. And the only reason I knew that these things existed was because about a year before that I had gotten my hair done at somebody's house and she had a portable sink that she hooked up to her bathroom sink. So I was like, okay, I know they exist, so let me find one for myself. So I found one off of eBay, which I don't have anymore because it fell apart, but I'll put a picture of it somewhere in here. And I used that. So I was like, okay, the next time somebody comes to my house, they can actually sit back and get their hair washed properly. So this next girl who came over, she was my second client ever. So I did the highlights on her, and I wish I had pictures of all these services I did. I really should have taken pictures, but looking back, I remember that they didn't come out how they were supposed to because I was inexperienced. I shouldn't have done it. I don't even remember if I liked it that day. Maybe I thought I did a good job. I don't know. But the thing is, they didn't come out as bright as she had wanted them. She didn't tell me that, but I just know that because it wasn't what she had asked for. She didn't complain, and she still paid me for it. And I remember she was like, charge me whatever you want to charge me. Don't feel like you have to like short sell yourself because I know you or whatever. She's like, I'll pay whatever it costs. So I remember I had charged her $75 because I had paid $75 when I had gotten my hair done with highlights using color alone, because the year before I got my hair, I got red highlights and it was just color. I was charged $75, so I was like, that's how much it costs, I'm gonna charge her that much. But again, looking back at it, I shouldn't have done that because I didn't do a good job. I thought I did, but I wasn't experienced. It could have been so much better, but I didn't know any better. And I don't know if she liked it or if she just didn't want to make me feel bad, but I know now that it wasn't good, but whatever. So anyway, I remember as I was doing her hair, it was her and her friend were there, and they're both saying, oh, it's so cool that you have your own shampoo bowl. And they're like, you know, you should just work out of your house. Like, you might as well just do this. Like, you have something going for you here. And it's all because I had a sink. Because besides that, they were still just sitting at my kitchen table on a folding chair, you know, which was not that comfortable, and, you know, getting the whole service done. But again, they knew they were coming to my house. They knew I was fresh out of school, so I guess that's why they didn't complain. But yeah, I still got really excited over the fact that, one, I had a sink, and two, I was actually being encouraged to keep this up. So then I got another client, the first client who brought her mom, then she ended up coming in to get her hair done, and she wanted balayage, which I know how to do now, but back then I didn't, because I didn't have the experience where I could look at a picture and automatically figure out what technique they use, because it was only so much I had learned in school. I didn't learn any hair painting or balayage techniques in school. I just knew of it from my textbook. So I tried to make up my own method to do it. It didn't come out that nice, but she liked it, and she actually came to me multiple times, so I guess she thought it was good, but I knew that it wasn't what it should have looked like, you know what I mean? But anyway, so that's what ended up happening. So it was my co-workers who ended up being my first set of clients, and I got so excited from that alone that after I bought my sink, a few weeks later I went on eBay again and I bought my styling chair and my caddy with my drawers in it, which I still have downstairs. And if you guys saw my the video I made where I showed you guys a tour of my home hairstyling section, it's that same exact chair that I have from 2013 and the caddy with the drawers in it. I've had that for all these years. Those were my first products of my hairstyling business, and it's still going strong. So anyway, so finally, like I said, I ended up finally being able to take my state boards in January, and I passed. So I was officially licensed in January of 2014. Even though I had the job at the salon and that I was able to do more, I never quit my retail job because the shop that I was working at was just really slow. And I just wasn't getting any work there, so I didn't feel like working there full-time because I was like, what's the point? And also, I know better now, but I was working off commission, and for any new stylists out there, like anyone who's fresh out of school, I don't recommend working off commission because you don't have a clientele yet, so you're not going to make any money. It's better to just work as an assistant and get a salary, if you can find that somewhere. But I was only making commission, and I had no clientele, obviously. I just came out of school, so I didn't bother working full-time there ever. And then eventually I decided I don't ever want to work there because it just wasn't picking up and I just wasn't happy working there. Like I said, I was guilt tripped into working there, so I was never happy. So over the summer, I think it was August. Yeah, it was August of 2014. I ended up quitting there and the retail job at the same time, and I worked in a completely different salon. So this whole time, I had just continued just doing my coworkers here at my house and also some of my close friends. So that was my little bit of clientele, and I think I took a client, I don't know, maybe like twice a month. Like it wasn't even like anything dependable. Like I barely even called it a clientele, but I was working out of my house from time to time, and it just felt pretty special. You know, I felt pretty important and independent. And then also like not only coworkers, but I also started working on friends and also some people from my church, because my mom is a very proud mother. She would brag about me a lot, so then some people from my church would come to me. So yeah, I just like automatically started doing hair out of my house, but it was always like small, simple stuff, you know what I mean? And believe it or not, when I first started doing hair, I didn't do braiding at all, and I always loved braiding, but the reason I never decided to focus on it was because I had heard so many stylists say that they don't take braiding clients because doing braids takes so long that they don't have time to do any other service when they take braid clients, so they just decide to not offer altogether. So I was like, well, if that's what the professionals are doing, I'm gonna do it too. So I'm not gonna offer braiding services. I'll braid your natural hair, but I'm not gonna do box braids. I'm not gonna do, I didn't even know like a ton of braiding techniques back then anyway, but I was like, I'm not gonna do box braids. So I just offer like everything else, which I shouldn't have been doing. Now I know better, but I was just like doing color and perms and relaxers. Well, I didn't do perms, but I did relaxers and everything else out of my house, but not braiding. I didn't do braids, I didn't do weaves, I didn't do crochet, I didn't do anything with natural hair because I was still new at this. I was still fresh out of school, and they don't teach that stuff in school, you know, so I wasn't working under anybody, I was just working by myself, so that was all I knew how to do. So like I said, I eventually quit the retail job and my first salon job. I worked at a completely different salon. I worked there for 3 weeks and I left there. That's a whole story in itself. That was a very, very miserable job, so I left there and then I started working at another salon, and I worked at this place for almost a year. And this was the salon that I actually got all my experience from. Like to this day, even though I didn't love working there, I can always say that most of what I know I have to thank her for it, because she gave me like a great base to work off of, if that makes sense. Like she didn't teach me everything, but she taught me enough to where I can figure things out on my own, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I was working at the salon, but for some reason, and I really don't know why, again, but I didn't bring people to that salon. I think I had tried, to be honest. I do remember I was trying, like I told people that I worked there, and I was trying to get the few clients I made at my house to come there, but everyone just preferred to come to my house, and they would tell me, I'd just rather come to you and just give you all the money rather than go there and just give you a percentage. But I mean, so which I really appreciate, and I do believe that that was the real reason for it, but also I wasn't charging as much as I could have charged, you know, like I didn't know pricing very well. So maybe it's also because I wasn't charging very much and they would have to pay more over there. I really don't know. But the thing is, everyone who I was working at home just decided to just stay coming to my house. And then also somewhere along the line was when I had started getting asked to go to houses as well, because friends, like I'll be working on friends of friends as well. So sometimes I'll be asked to go to them because they have kids or whatever the case was. Because some people, they were strangers to me, but my friends knew them and that's how they found out about me, because I was never really advertising myself ever, because at this point I didn't consider myself a business yet. Like in my head kind of, but not really, you know what I mean? But anyway, so that's when I started becoming a traveling stylist technically. And also I decided to like get more into it because I remember one of my friends who I was in school with, she got asked to work on a wedding and she had asked me to come with her, and that was considered a traveling job because like we got paid like for mileage and everything, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I kind of want to get into this because I always wanted to do weddings and stuff like that. So I like the idea of being asked to travel to a site to do hair rather than just have someone come to me. I don't know, that was just kind of fun to me. So I think that's when I first like started opening my mind to like becoming a traveling stylist. But again, I was so new that I wasn't really considering this like my thing just yet. Sorry guys, I'm trying so hard to keep this in order and not talk too much, but I want to make sure I remember everything. Okay, so anyway, so like I said, I was working at this last salon. I worked there for almost a year, and even though I was learning a lot there, I didn't actually like the environment there. So like the owner, she was very knowledgeable, so skill-wise I liked being there, but as for the way she treated us, I didn't like it. It wasn't a very comfortable place to work, so I eventually finally got the courage to quit there. Like when I felt like I was experienced enough and I learned all that I needed to learn from her, I was like, okay, I did what I had to do, but I'm gonna leave now because I'm not actually happy here. And also, I'm not getting clients here. I don't know why, it just wasn't working. Like I said, the clients I had at home weren't coming there, but I also wasn't getting clients to come to me. And I don't really know if it was me, like if it was something wrong with me, or if it just wasn't meant to be. But I think I just wasn't meant to be there, to be completely honest. So yeah, so eventually I ended up finally leaving, and I started working at a spa in a resort. And I never had an intention to work in a spa, but I was just so desperate to leave the salon because, like I said, I was very unhappy there. And I just found that they were hiring, so I was like, I just need to work somewhere that's not here. So I'm going to take that job. I'm just going to work there temporarily because my dream is to do hair, not do spa services. Because the spa, they didn't offer hair. It was like facial, like what I did there was facials, nails, and waxing. And then, of course, they had massaging as well. So I wasn't planning on staying there for long, but then once I started there, I immediately fell in love with working there. I loved that job so much. I actually ended up staying there for 4 years. But anyway, I loved it so much, so I was like, okay, I think I'm going to stay here for a while, but I still want to do hair, and I can't do hair. So, but I was working there so much that I didn't have the time to work at a hair salon as a second job. I didn't have the availability for a second job because, if you guys don't know, I was also a dancer. So with dance practice and working, I couldn't get a second job on top of that. So I was like, well, I still want to do hair, so I'm gonna take this home hair business thing that I have going on, and I'm gonna try and make this a serious thing and try to like really build clientele, like more than just friends and friends of friends. Like I'm gonna try and like actually brand myself. So I went through this whole like, I don't know if you call it an epiphany or whatever, but I just went through this like, you know when you get a really good idea and you get so excited that you just go on and on and on with it without even like thinking of it. So I kind of like went into like go mode, and I automatically was like, okay, I'm gonna make a Facebook page, I'm gonna print out business cards, I'm gonna start promoting myself, like I'm gonna make my kitchen an actual salon. Like I got so excited with it. So I made a Facebook page, which is actually still there to this day, and it's called Glamorous Hair by Kelsey. No, it's called Miss Glamorous, because that was the name that I went by. That was my little business name I made for myself. And I also started a YouTube channel that had nothing to do with it, but I had a YouTube channel back then and I called it Miss Glamorous. So that was just like my name of that era of my life. So anyway, I made a Facebook page and I put up my few pictures there, and I also went on Vistaprint and I made myself some business cards. And here's what they look like. And I showed you guys these before. There, see, it says Miss Glamorous, and my tagline was beauty at your front door, because I was trying to use the fact that I travel as my main, what do you call it, like, what, there's a word for it, there's definitely a word for it, but anyway, that's what my main thing would be, because by then I had gotten access to go to people's houses so often, and I realized that there was a market for traveling stylists because it's convenient, especially for services that take hours. So people love that I could come to their house and they can get their hair done without leaving the comfort of their own home. So I tried to market myself off that. So I made these business cards and I had my Facebook page, and honestly, I was not active on it at all. Like, you can go on it now. Like, I've had it for years, like I said, since 2014 or 2015, whenever, and I have like 9 followers. Like, I just went through a moment of just being really excited, and I just went on this little rampage and I started doing all this stuff, and I never like followed through with anything. So I still stayed pretty stagnant for the most part, but that was my little thing that was going on back then. But so yeah, so I started my Facebook page that went nowhere. I did use my business cards a lot. I did give them out a lot, and also that's when I decided to like get myself more serious and actually get a price list together. Because if you guys watched the video I put before this, I told you guys when I first started doing hair, a huge mistake I made was I didn't have a set price list yet. So when people were asking me for services, I was just throwing random numbers at them without thinking about it. So I actually sat down and made myself an entire price list, which I still have written down in my notebook over there. And it's funny because there's no braiding services in it. There's some natural hair services, but no braiding. It's mostly color and chemical services, which is weird because I hardly ever do that now. Like, it's just weird. Like, it's funny how life changes, but that was what I really focused on, was color and highlights back then. But the thing was, that was me starting to get serious, and this was becoming more than just a side hobby. This was becoming something I was trying to turn into a business. But the thing was, like I said, I was a dancer, so it wasn't something that I was doing often, because when I worked at the spa, I remember, like, it was like working in a store where some days you have opening shifts and other days you have closing shifts. So because I had dance, I remember I always had morning shifts, and then I'll go to dance afterwards, and then the days I didn't have dance, I would have an evening shift. So fitting in hair was actually very difficult. So a lot of times I would stay up late and do hair after dance, or I'd get up really, really early and do hair in the morning, or I'll just do it on the weekends. Not even because I didn't have weekends, but on my day off or whatever. So I remember I suddenly got busy all the time, especially towards the end, like the last year or two that I was working at the spa. So anyway, so that's what was going on. I was just squeezing in hair appointments whenever I can. I had an official price list, I had an official business name. And then in September of 2017, I decided to make an Instagram page, because I was honest with myself, and I was like, why do I have a Facebook page? I'm giving out these business cards with my Facebook page on it, and I don't ever go on it. And I just kind of wanted to start over. So I made an Instagram page, because I also realized that by then Instagram was becoming more popular and following hashtags was becoming a thing. And I was also watching a lot of hairstylists on YouTube who made more business related videos, and they were explaining the importance of branding yourself through social media. So it's like, word of mouth is one thing, but you've got to, like, you know, have a place online where people can find you. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna scrap this Facebook page because I'm going nowhere with it. I don't go on Facebook like that. It's whatever. I just thought Instagram was more popular, and I got the hang of using hashtags and everything, and I suddenly started blowing up. Like, that was my moment when I suddenly started, like, really, really building, is when I made my Instagram, and I got the hang of hashtags and tagging locations and all that stuff. So that's when I had started getting clients that were not just people that I knew, or people that knew people that I knew. Like, I was getting actual strangers, so I was getting a real clientele. So it was crazy, but it was amazing. Like, I was actually building. But again, I only took like 2 to 3 clients a week, because I was working all the time at the spa. In fact, my last year there, I actually was a full-time worker, but even when I wasn't full-time, I still worked full-time hours all the time. And then I was also a dancer, so I squeezed them in what I could, but I was blowing up, so that was pretty amazing. So in May of 2019, the spa closed, sadly. It was a spa and a resort, and the resort that I was working at, we got a new CEO, and he decided to change things around, and those changes involved closing all the spas, which was ridiculous. To this day, I still don't see where the logic was there. But they closed the spa. We got less than a week's notice when it happened, so I was out of a job. So I was able to file for unemployment, and I decided to not work that entire summer and just collect the unemployment, because I had been so stressed out from working at the spa, from dancing, and then doing hair on the sides, because I was literally working and doing something 24/7. So I was actually very happy when they closed. I took it as the blessing in disguise, and I actually went over this in a video way back then when it first happened. But anyway, so I took the summer off, and all I was doing hair whenever I did get a client, but I wasn't dancing that summer, and I wasn't I didn't have a job. So that was my little break. But again, I was still doing hair, and I think that's when I realized how large my clientele was. Because even though I was out of a job, I was still working 4 to 5 days a week, and I was like, wait a second, I have an actual, I don't know if this is a word, but an actual survivable clientele. Like, I had enough clients that I could actually survive, you know? That's when I had that realization that I actually built something. Like, I actually have a business going on from my house. That's crazy, but it's true. So anyway, at the end of the summer, I was like, okay, my unemployment break is over. I mean, I could have still collected unemployment, but I wasn't trying to just depend on that. I just wanted a little break, so I just took it for the summer. And then when September started, I was like, okay, let me go out there and get an actual job. So I started working at another salon, and again, I hated it. I don't know what is with this area, but I have no good experience working with salons. Like, the shop I work at right now is the only one that I don't hate going to. I've never had a good experience with working. It's like the amount of stories I could tell you guys. Like, I had no good experience. So anyway, so I started working at another salon, which I ended up staying at for about 4 months. And I remember I wish I remember when I finally got into braiding, but I really don't remember when it happened. But at some point I decided to make braiding my strong point because I finally realized I like braiding. It doesn't work for those styles that I heard from, but you know what? I like it. So if it's all I can fit in a day, who cares? It makes me happy and there's money in it. So I finally came to that realization at some point, but I don't remember when it was. But I remember when I started working at this salon, I was telling them in the interview that I can do braids and that could be the clientele that I could bring in, because I was trying to make myself different from every other stylist. Because the thing about this area is there are no braiders, there's no ethnic salons, there's no nothing. So there's no salon that I could go to that already offered braiding, so I could just like, you know, just slip right in there. So I had to just make myself, you know, that's my strong point. Like, I can bring in a whole different clientele. I do braids, I do sew-ins, I do this, I do that. You know, I do natural hair, I do ethnic hair, whatever you want to call it. So that's how I ended up getting the job that I had, and she was like, oh yeah, we get people who want braids all the time, yada yada. Honestly, I don't know why she hired me. I really don't know why, because this shop, again, it was the whole thing where it was not busy, and it was at the point where she kept on telling me not to come in, and she straight up told me one day that she couldn't afford to pay me. And also with this salon, I realized that she had no intention of paying commission. And at this point, I had a clientele, so there was no way I'm gonna work somewhere and not get a commission. I was just getting a salary, so that means whether I work or not, I'm getting the same amount of money every single day. So why would I bring in my clients to make you money and it's not affecting my paycheck whatsoever? So I never brought my clients there, but I was hoping that I'll still get clientele while I'm there, so that whenever I do leave, I'll have clients who can follow me. But it just never happened. Like, that was just not the place for me. I was not happy. And like I said, I was never there because it wasn't busy and she kept on telling me not to come in. So it just never happened. So after 4 months, I just ended up quitting. So at this point, like, looking back at it, I don't know why I felt like I needed to work somewhere else. Because like I said, I realized I had a very large clientele and I was surviving off the money I was making on my own. But in my mind, I still had this mindset that I had to work somewhere and work for somebody in order to grow my clientele. And it just wasn't quite sinking in that my clientele is growing already as it is without the help of anybody. So I don't know why I kept trying to go from shop to shop to shop, and I was never gaining clients there. So anyway, so I left that salon, and a couple weeks later, so I left them in January of 2020. So I worked from September of 2019 to January of 2020, about 4 months. And then in February of 2020, I started working at this other shop. And again, it was slower than I thought it was gonna be. Or again, I don't know why she hired, because I use braiding as my, I can't find the word for this, but braiding as my thing. Like, that's my specialty. That's my specialty. That works. Specialty. And she was like, oh yeah, we got a lot of hair people. This particular salon, they did hair, nails, skincare, everything. But from working there, I realized that she kind of over advertised the salon because she had all these services, and the only clients who came in were for nails. And I was not trying to get into doing nails anymore. I was tired of doing nails. I only did it at the spa, and I was over it. So I just wanted to do hair, and she made a sign they had this huge following of hair clients. Nobody came in. No one came in, and I tried. I remember I even tried to help her advertise her hair services more. I would give her advice. I made flyers for her with her information. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I went above and beyond to help her advertise, and I realized she just didn't care. So I was like, why should I care? Why am I here? But anyway, I wanted to quit, but I didn't want to quit right away. Alright, so my camera just ran out of space, and I was in the middle of talking, so I just put my phone on here, so I'm just gonna finish the story really quick. So, as I was saying, I again was unhappy at the shop that I was working at, and I wanted to quit, but at the same time I didn't, because I felt like I was on a quitting spree, and I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't just trying to be a quit. Like, I don't want to quit every single time something gets hard or it's worse than I imagined, you know what I mean? So I was trying to stick it out, but then well, not luckily, but by then the pandemic hit, and that was about 6 weeks after I had started working there. So I ended up losing that job anyway, because, you know, we couldn't have salons open for the longest while. And then when we were allowed to reopen, she ended up never calling me back to work. I don't even get, like, that's a whole thing. I don't even know what that was all about. But anyway, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So before I started working at this shop, so the one that I had quit before, the one I only worked at for 4 months, after I quit her was when I started to, like, really advertise my braiding and not just my hair services, but I wanted to be known as a braider more than anything. So that's when I started to, like, I remade my business cards, and it's these new ones that I showed you guys, and I made them black and gold because I didn't want to look so girly, because I have a lot of male clients, because a lot of males get braids. So I wanted something that looked a little bit more neutral, even though it still has the glitter on it, but whatever. And then again, I updated my service list or my price list, and again, by then that's when I started to make sure to really get active on social media. Like I said, I had dumped my Facebook page. It's still there, but I do nothing with it. But I tried to make my Instagram a lot more active. I made sure I posted something every day or almost every day, but on a regular basis. I started putting my work on my stories, so my Snapchat story, my Facebook stories, my Instagram stories. I just made sure to make myself very active so I can just continue to build clients that way, because I had wasted so much time at that shop and I had just gotten really frustrated. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I not getting clients at these stores? And again, not thinking I'm already getting clients, so I don't even need the shop. So why do I keep telling myself I need somebody else's job when I have my own business running out of my house? Like, where was my mind? Like, what took me so long to come to this conclusion? So then that's when I started working at this other salon, ended up hating it, and I wanted to quit, but then the pandemic happened, so I didn't have to quit. But yes, that's what happened. So when the pandemic never ended, but we were allowed to reopen hair salons, and I don't know why, but she never called me back to work. She never even told me that she was reopening, and I had specifically texted her and I asked her, so we're gonna open soon, are you gonna be reopening the store? And she's like, oh no, I'm still not sure or whatever. And then I found out from another girl who worked there that she had already opened, and she just didn't tell me. But I think that girl, she didn't know that, she never told me. So that's when I realized, okay, she just doesn't want me to come back. That's cool, whatever. I don't know why. I don't know if we had like any beef or whatever. I thought we were cool. Like, I didn't like working there, but she didn't know that, you know what I mean? But she just didn't want me to come in. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'll never know. It is what it is. It was just weird. And the weird thing is that all my stuff was still there. So that's why I'm like, why wouldn't you call me, at least tell me to come and get my things, you know? So when that happened, I was a little down about it, just because I was like, you know, I can't seem to find a place where I fit in. I can't seem to find a shop or whatever. And then that's when my mom had this pep talk with me, and she was like, Kelsey, you are working 24/7 on your own clients, and you're keeping all your money. And she's like, she'll be like, go over all the money you made this week. If you did those clients at her shop, how much of that money would you have given to her? Because it was commission, you know, so I would have given her 40% or whatever. I think it was 40% she would have gotten. So like, or 50, I don't know, but that's when I really got to thinking, like, yeah, like if I bring my clients to a shop, I am giving away money, and there's no reason for me to do that, because I earned those clients on my own. And I think that's when it finally hit me. I don't need to work anywhere. Like, I don't know how I got that fortunate, but I just don't need to work anywhere. Like, this business that I'm doing, it literally just fell into my hand. Like, it just happened. Like, I never really had to plan it. I never thought of it. It just happened. Don't get me wrong, I always had a plan, because I always knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I didn't think it was going to just come to me the way that it did. So she got me into the habit, and I do this to this day, where every single time I have my own client, I will take 50% of the money and I'll put it into a savings and just not touch it and don't even count it. And that's exactly what I do. And then every now and then I'll count the money, and I'll be surprised at how much money I make, and that's only half. And that'll be me realizing that if I had worked for somebody, that would have been in their pocket, but now that money's in mine, and that money's gonna go towards my salon whenever it's time for it to happen. So yeah, that's honestly the last job that I've had, to be completely honest. I haven't worked anywhere else. I've just been doing what I do now, which is just working out of my house. And yeah, but as you guys know, or you might know, I work at two places, kind of, sorta. So just to explain that, the one job I have, it's a beauty supply store. It's near my house, and I went there one day, and I had just realized, I had just discovered this store. So I was talking to the owner, who was a very sweet guy. I'm so sad he actually passed away from COVID, and that breaks my heart every time I think about it. He was so sweet. But anyway, he had asked me to, I had mentioned like, oh, I'm so glad I found the store. I live right up the road, so you're going to be seeing me a lot because I do braids. And he was like, you do braids? We need a braider, because they have a chair in the back where they do braiding services, and he wanted me to do it. So I was like, sure, I'll do it. I'm not saying I can't like commit to a schedule because I already work, but if you want me to just come in, you know, whenever I can. He's like, yeah, I'll just call you and you can tell me when you can come in and you can get the client. And that's what I've been doing. And then also the other place I work at, which is an actual salon, my friend's friend was working there, and she was telling me that they need a braider because they're always turning away clients because they need braids. So she asked if I would be willing to take those braiding clients. So again, it's one of those things where they just call and they're like, oh, this person wants braids, when can you do it? So I went from like looking for a job where I could fit in to being asked to work places. You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny how that turned around. So now these jobs that I work at, they're working around my schedule rather than me trying to fit into theirs and trying to fit into their ways and whatever. But yeah, so just to sum it all up, every job that I worked at, my personal clients never wanted to come to my job. Like, every time I would be like, okay, I have a job now, you can come and see me there, they'll be like, why? Like, you're already making all the, like, I'd rather just give you all the money. Like, why would you want me to come there and give you half and give them half? It's like everybody knew better than I did. And I don't know why it took me years to realize I've been a business owner technically, and I just can't seem to, I don't know why it took me so long to get my head wrapped around there. So when I finally came to that realization, that's when I took it even more seriously. Again, like, I mean, I already had my price list, but again, I perfected it. And that's when I made my policies, and I'm active on social media and everything, and I'm pretty much running my own business from my house. So that's how it happened. I forgot to mention that there was also, like, after I finally quit that last salon, when I finally decided to, like, make this my own thing, besides just getting active and serious on social media, I also made sure to leave these flyers that I made myself. I actually made a similar flyer for the shop when I was working there, and I put my services, but I put her information, but then I remade it and just put my own information. I put it in different stores and everything so I could advertise myself, and I did get some clients through these flyers as well. So I was really on go mode when I finally had that realization that I have no need to go back to a shop. And I'm sorry that I'm speed talking, I just don't like when I make really long videos. I feel like they're too long, but it's a lot of information to unpack here. But because I always mention that when I started this, it kind of just happened. It wasn't really planned out, and I did make a lot of mistakes in the beginning, which is what my previous video was about. But after years and years of mistakes and tweaking and perfections and stuff, I finally got to where I am today. So I'm technically a business owner. Even gotten to the point when I've made it a legal thing so I can report my income and everything. So I'm technically still employed, because my biggest thing was I didn't want to be unemployed on paper. I just don't want to have that status. But I do have a legit business right now, and I'm so proud, and I just want to share that story with you guys, so I feel like it just explains myself more. But I'm gonna stop talking here. So hopefully I got through everything. Hopefully everything was understood. Hopefully I explained everything well enough and I wasn't talking too fast for you guys to understand me. So that's it for this video. That's me sharing my life with you guys. Sorry if it's too long, but it is what it is. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.